Hi everyone, welcome back. So I saw some really great work last week and I really appreciate everybody and the citations you shared. So that's a great start to our class, and moving along a little bit more, I want to talk about globalization of information and data and how we digitize everything and it's changing our world. So if we think about it, let's move right into the idea of global transfer. There's two types of information. I want you guys to understand a little bit more deeply. It's tacit knowledge, that's kind of the knowledge in the cloud or your mind or your experience, and explicit knowledge. This is what we see in our books, what we can read on our screen. It's very easily shareable. Tacit knowledge, to give you an example, I learned to fish from my grandfather. And I learned not from him listening or telling me what to do, but by watching him. As a child, he used to go to the highest point every time we go fishing, and he looked down at the water of the streams, and he watched the flow and see how it ebbed. And he looked for the deep pools and where the water bubbled, and that's where most of the fish would go. I learned to understand because of the oxygenation in the water. He'd walk down to the river's edge quietly so that the shadows were always behind him, so the fish wouldn't see him coming or approaching. And he'd look at the bugs. And when he saw the bugs, he'd go back and he'd sit down, and on his knee he would tie a fly just to look like the bugs, and he'd walk over gently and he'd throw that right where that oxygenated water is, and he'd always catch a fish. He never told me these things. I learned from tacit knowledge. His knowledge he shared with me by letting me learn and experience his world and how he was doing this. The explicit would be if he wrote this down in a journal and I found it one day and read that. So there's two different types of knowledge, and a lot of the knowledge today is tacit transformed into explicit, but digitally. So everyone in the world can see and hear and learn this. We could videotape my grandfather if he was here with us today doing this, and I could share it with the entire world on a YouTube clip, on my own private channel, or a blog site, which I'm starting right now because I like to do haikus. So I'm making a blog site called Haiku You, or Haikuing Along. I haven't quite figured out which one I want. I think haikuing along. But I'll share these experiences with you. I want to talk about the media itself. We have many methods. We're doing one right now, correct? I don't know where you are. You could be in Japan. Pretty soon I'm going to be leaving for a trip over in Europe, but I'll still be working with you online. We'll still be communicating. We'll still be talking together. We'll still be performing our duties and our jobs, and I'll still email you back. Virtually, we can meet how? You can see me through Skype any day of the week we want to talk. You call me, you can see me on my phone. I have a Skype app. We can also do what if you have an iPhone? That's right, we can see each other through the virtual aspect in iPhones. So there's all different types of media as a transfer, and we can get this methodology to each other from that. Today, academics in the world is changing. Think about the Academy. It was a world created to share knowledge, mathematics specifically, but individuals decided to share everything, and it's out there virtually for free, and you can learn and take lessons in classes. We saw, and I asked you to see a little bit of Sugatra Mitra's model, where he's sharing information virtually and watching how children learn how to teach each other computer skills in India. He's also doing the granny effect, and I'll show you a little piece on that again soon. There's lynda.com, which is a purchase per class place where you can learn any type of software. You simply just buy either a year-long lesson plan and try what you want, or buy one lesson at a time. You can learn Photoshop or any of these software skills, and at your own pace. You click, watch the video, you go along with it, and you try the exercises they give you, and then when you're comfortable, you stop and you leave it go. You can save your lesson and come back at any time. The Code Academies are a new creation that's coming in this way, teaching the world code. They're allowing one person at a time to learn individual things at their own pace and their own scale. They offer free classes. I get emails set up to learn different things. Set up your own website. I learned my own blog site from them, which is a different idea. It's a new idea that Christensen came up, Clayton Christensen that is, about how academics is going to have to change and our university is changing. Look at us today. We're virtual. Pretty soon, which will be really cool, I'd like to be a hologram. You could see me. I could be sitting in front of you just like we're a lecture in the classrooms. And I could walk around the room and be recorded. You could be part of that atmosphere, a 3D. Now we can do that in another media, which I'm going to share with you down the road, which I know a University of Pittsburgh professor is taking all of his classes virtual, where everybody shows up in class, no matter where they are, but they're an avatar. They're not even themselves. You could change gender, change hair color, change names. But as long as you show up to class for roll and is accounted for, you're in class. And he's doing this through Second Life. He created a virtual classroom where all his students show up. Everybody communicates, we listen, they engage in a Socratic environment and conversation. Maybe we'll try that one of these days soon. I'm going to show you something else that's pretty cool at the end of this lecture, how Second Life is changing the world and commerce as well. Right now, let's look at one of these examples, and I'm a real big fan of Dr. Mitras. Here's a little piece, just to listen if you didn't get to watch it, about granny clouds.
Now, earlier tonight we saw how Bridget Riley's picked up one or two tips from the old masters. And while we're on the theme of learning from those older and wiser than ourselves, Professor Sugata Mitra of Newcastle University has been championing the power of the grandmother. Tim Samuels went to Gateshead to find out more.
Val Almond and Debbie Mann are the vanguard of a revolutionary new approach to global education. Once a week they log onto their computers to talk to, read and play games with groups of children from remote parts of India.
Hello. My name is Debbie and I live in Loughborough, which is in the middle of England. Can you see this picture?
Yes.
What is it?
Yeah.
I can see
This cross-cultural education project is the brainchild of Professor Sugata Mitra, who, originally from India himself, took on a post at the University of Newcastle 4 years ago.
What's the problem at the heart of what you're trying to address?
You can have places where you can't build a school. Such places exist in the world. And even more commonly, you can have places where you have schools, but good teachers don't want to or cannot go. So what do you do about that then? Because there are children everywhere. And that's what I'm trying to address.
Let's talk about how this started.
Well, that was 12 years ago, and at that time I was working in Delhi and I was training people to learn how to program computers. And only the rich children got the opportunity to join these expensive training programs. The poor children did not. But there was nothing to prevent the poor children from having the abilities to be excellent programmers. So I thought to myself, what would happen if I put a computer like an ATM in a wall in a slum?
What Sugata observed was that children would flock to these hole-in-the-wall computers, and without any knowledge of IT, and little or no English, teach themselves how to use them.
And when I asked them, they said, well, if you've given us a computer which works in English, then we have to teach ourselves English in order to use it, which sounds very simple, but that's what they were doing. The lesson from that first 5 years of experiments is that groups of children given access to a computer in an unsupervised environment will be capable of self-instructing them to use it.
Sugata then took his experiment a step further to see if he could deepen the children's learning experience.
I asked a friendly girl in the neighborhood who they sort of played with. I asked her to pretend or to use what I now describe as the method of the grandmother, which is that you stand behind the children and you admire them. Every time they do something, you say, well, I couldn't have done that. My God, when I was a kid, I would have never been able to find this. The children love that, obviously, and they want to show off to that figure. So when I came back to Britain, I started a recruitment drive, so to speak, for grandmothers who have broadband and who are willing to give me 1 hour of their time every week for free.
Excellent. Again.
What's their job? Their job is to provide that additional 20% boost to the children by admiring them.
Excellent. Give yourselves a clap.
That's what I'm trying to achieve in India using the British granny cloud, as it's called.
And there are now about 200 people from all over the UK in the granny cloud. You don't actually have to be a granny to take part, though.
Grizzly, fantastic. Well done. Can you tell me what this is I am wearing and who would wear it? The Queen, absolutely.
Hello, I'm Tim.
How are you?
I'm all right. Have you heard of a footballer called Wayne Rooney?
Yes.
What sort of bear does Wayne Rooney look like?
Baby.
A teddy bear.
So many children in the world don't have access to education because of the remote area they live in, they're poor, whatever. Can you see how the leaves have dropped from the trees? That's very near to where I live. But through technology, you can get through to the poorest of children.
And Sugata's new teaching methods have now also arrived on these shores. The lessons learned from his very first experiment in India with hole-in-the-wall computers are now being applied to schools in Gateshead.
Stephen? Bonjour,
The
good.
process is that you take a group of children, you ask them to make groups of 4. Each group of 4 is allowed to use one computer with an internet connection. And then you trigger off the system with a question. That question is absolutely critical.
What I want you to find out for me today is where does language come from? I don't know the answer.
Where are you going to start looking?
It's got to put it on tight. Some scientists say that language is the very thing that makes human. It says on your corner, where did your where does language come from?
What website's this? Wiki Answers. Would it not be easier if the teacher just told you where language came from?
No, because then we won't be learning anything for ourselves.
We learn anything for ourselves. It's an interesting concept. And I stopped that there, and I wanted to put it right to that point, to where children are already understanding they can teach themselves. And we can experience all this together, and we can learn. President Jimmy Carter's always been kind of a fan of mine because of his worldview, his ideas, his concepts, and the way he's brought on different elements of life. I'm going to escape here and bring you to my desktop, and we'll come back to the lecture just in a second. And I brought up, if I can find it, Jimmy Carter has a virtual tour, and he's educating people. And you can go a virtual tour of his library in different spaces. This is a new thing that's coming out today. It's pretty cool that you can almost everything now is having these
Hello, I'm
virtual
Jimmy Carter.
tours. And you can hear a
Welcome
voice
to the
and
house
listen.
and the farm where I spent my youth. Here we had long working days during those Depression years. We would wake up each morning when the bell would ring about 4 o'clock sun time, which was long before sunrise. We didn't have any electricity, and we didn't have running water in our house. We got water from hand pumps for both the livestock and for our own use. It was quite a change for us when electricity came.
You imagine here's a president talking about this situation, and now today he's coming into a new world to where he's actually
Hello, I'm Jimmy Carter.
bringing a virtualization of his home, where he grew up, everything that was important to him. Interactive maps, videos, you can see translations of his voice. What's going to be the next? Well, who will be the next teacher? Because of this digital world we live in. So I'm coming back into our presentation. I'll jump us back here. My point is, who can stop us from learning something from someone else today, as long as there's the ability to change? One of the cool things that I love is Julian Assange. He's really changed the world of how he's sharing information in WikiLeaks. He's able to change the world through, one, sharing information that was private. A lot of times it was maybe copywritten, but is out there. And has had the ability to actually change leaderships in the world, show atrocities that's happened, and bring on whole different facts of life. But one of the things, don't know how that happened, but I want you to see
Julian
him
Assange made a
here.
surprise appearance in the US on Sunday in the form of a hologram. The WikiLeaks founder sat before an open-mouthed audience at the 2014 Nantucket project in Massachusetts. A high-definition 3D projection produced by Hologram USA was transmitted from inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he stayed under political asylum since 2012. There he sat alongside real-bodied filmmaker Eugene Jarecki and shared his thoughts on the importance of public access to free information and expressed anger at his forced asylum.
About the interference in my family relationships and so on, and the hypocrisy and the duplicity of human rights standards, the way my staff have been affected, legal banking blockades, the situation with Chelsea Manning being tortured, sentenced 35 years, something you can use as a fuel. You can use that anger as a fuel. And, that can keep you going and help you see a situation clearly.
Assange and Jarecki then closed their conversation with a virtual high five.
So are you ready to do a high five? Either hand.
Hang on, let me get my orientation.
Okay, now slap. Okay, I think we achieved something.
It's a 6-second delay, it's quite hard.
So it's amazing how someone who's in asylum can still reach out to the world. We saw this in Star Wars. What's the new technology going to bring for education? Like I said, it'd be pretty cool if I was able to be virtually presented to you. We could talk, interact. Maybe we'll be doing this in real time pretty soon as well. So the virtual classroom is no longer existing. It's actually wherever you are. I'm projected. All you would need is a 3D projector. Like we're doing 3D models today from 3D printers. Think about how that's changed business to where I can send you a program and you can print a part out, say for your bicycle, in seconds on a 3D printer. It's going to change the way we shop, the way we sell, the way we do things. Our whole digital commerce system will be changing. Global communities are being established. Let's think about digital natives, which is most of you. There's two different types right now, and I'm reclassifying all of you, by the way, in my research. Digital natives are students or individuals who grew up with the idea of telephones without cords, as a good way to put it, where you have a digital environment and you don't know the difference. You didn't grow up to where there was wires, where you had to plug into everything. The internet didn't exist. This is the new world, the new student generations. Others are digital immigrants, such as myself, who are learning all these capabilities to share and to expand my world and experiences with you, like I'm doing with this program. You can hear my voice, see my presentation, just like I would do in a classroom on a blackboard or on a digital board. You can see me move my mouse, and I can even project myself into the screen if we wanted to. So there's all different ways we're reforming the way education and culture are shared. Think about digital pen pals. When I was a kid, I had a pen pal in China. I met the person when he came over and played baseball as a child with us. We were pen pals for years. I would write a letter, send it to him. Weeks later, I would get a letter back. He would reply with another question for me. We did this for years and shared the experiences. He would share pictures of himself, his family, where he grew up. I would do the same. It was very interesting, but it took weeks. Today, we can share with an iPhone the experience. Last year, when I was in Poland, I was able to call home on my iPhone and share experiences of a museum that I was in. I was able to share dinner with a meal with my fiance at the time, and we were able to eat together. I could tell her the taste of the food that I was having. I could tell her about how different the culture was. She met the lady who was a waitress to me. She listened to her speak. We translated what she said using Google. In real time, it took a little longer because we'd type it in and she'd listen and be able to respond back. But it happened. We became friends, and the families and us are still friends. There's also an interesting conundrum happening today with digital games and sharing experiences that are bringing world cultures together, breaking down religious lines, lines of virtuality, or actual lines of countries. I watched a group of students play a game called Wordsmith. It's the old-fashioned Scrabble type of game. They were playing on their phone, and I said, well, who are you playing with? And the one girl said, well, I'm playing with a girlfriend of mine in Portugal. We've become great friends. I can't wait. She's getting married next month. I'm going to her wedding. Pretty crazy to invite somebody you met online in a gaming experience that you're going to go and be part of their wedding, an experience from another country where they've never even been before. The girl had never left the country, yet alone the state of Pennsylvania, and now going to travel across the world to be at a person's wedding that she met online because of commonality and sharing experiences that grew out of the game, Scrabble-style game. Digital communications are changing the world. Google is changing the world. Think about how we were able to actually learn a language. Say I was speaking in Spanish right now. You could actually take the Spanish, put it into Google Translate, and find out what I'm saying, or vice versa. There are many mechanisms of translations. A new company that just came out recently, which I was interested in seeing. Let's see if I can, whoops. I seem to have lost the, what I was going to show you guys. I'm sorry. Hang on a second here with me. See if I get through. That's not it. Oh no. Well, let's go back. Actually, we're in a virtual world. We can still go back and find this. So I want to escape again, and I'm going to take you to where I found before. And I'm going to look for a piece, if I didn't save it. And I will see. Let's, real quick, oops, typo. I want to look at Waverly Lab. So I'll pull this up that quick. We can change and get to a part virtually. Hopefully it'll skip the ad for us, but sorry. I'll mute that for 1 second if I can. I'm going to jump through this. Sorry, I was supposed to be inside the piece, but it wasn't. But I want to talk about a world without languages and barriers. This is a pretty neat piece. Watch this.
Can you hear me in French?
Yes, I can hear you talk French. But this is awesome.
So there's a new program out that just came out not too long ago where these small earpieces will actually work to translate language as it's spoken by another human. It's a pretty crazy concept that Waverly's coming up with.
I came up with the idea for a translator when I met a French girl. That's really where the story starts. I was on vacation and I met this girl. It was difficult for us to communicate because she didn't speak English very well. And even when we tried to find a solution, like using some translation app to communicate, it's horrible. Look, if you and I are speaking and our phones are in our face like this, forget it. This is a wall. We're out of this real world interaction. But this, in your ear, puts us right back in it. Elodie, put this in your ear.
Je mets ça dans mon oreille?
Yeah, put it in your ear.
Comme ça?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me in French?
Pouvez-vous me entendre en français? Oui! Je peux t'entendre parler français? Yes, I can hear you talk French. Attends, comment ça se fait? But this is awesome. But how you do it?
Yeah, it's translating. It's translating. This little wearable uses translation technology to allow two people to speak different languages, but still clearly understand each other. Simply put, when one person speaks, the other hears it in their language.
Developing the pilot has been an intensive process. Our team's been working on it for over 2 years. Andrew is our original co-founder and oversees product development. I'm an electrical engineer and expert in manufacturing. We also have a mechanical engineer, software engineer, PhD in machine translation, as well as an industrial designer. Our wide breadth of experts has allowed us to develop a product from the ground up.
We wanted to create something that hugs the curves of the ear without being obtrusive. Something snug but fashionable to wear. In the process, we just decided to throw in an extra earpiece for wireless streaming music. That means the full system includes 2 earpieces and its accompanying app. It's from the app itself where all of the languages are uploaded to the earpiece. It's kind of an end-all solution for the traveler or the international professional. That's what we're doing here at Waverly Labs. It's simply the most advanced communication wearable.
So think about how this is going to change commerce for the world. Instead of having translators for business meetings, we now can do it in real time, sitting next to somebody else. We can do it on Skype and translate as we're talking face to face. Very different worlds are coming for us right now. Who knows where this is going to go? This is only one form of what we're seeing. It's pretty interesting to see communities develop and change because of language barriers being stopped. Another idea I wanted to bring into you is the idea of virtual reality and how it's going to change not only our classroom, which it already is changing currently, but relationships. It's pretty interesting to see how we can develop apps for languages, but when you get to a virtual reality space, we start sharing experiences and cultures. In Second Life, there's a whole different sharing aspect where anyone in the world can change. That time difference is changed because there is no time in Second Life. There is no space. You want it, you create it. The communication value is learned. And as you learn, you grow. There's a new media of art, of commerce. Bitcoin, something that they thought would never have value, has now value, where there's actual millionaires through this commerce of selling art, selling goods, selling services. There's a little girl who not too long ago wrote her first novel and sold over 1 million copies. It was done in Second Life, and she posted this book line by line every day on her way to school. Amazing. Think about how this is sharing and changing cultures and reality. What's it going to do for relationships? I saw just a little while ago an interesting piece, and I want to see if this one will go. For someone, there we go. I'm going to let you watch this. Here's two individuals that just got married, and here's a video of their life, their wedding, and it's all in virtual reality. In Second Life, everything is created. The world they want, the flowers, everything was created in Second Life, including their meeting, their courtship, eventually their real-life relationship, to the point to where the two got married in the same area with their friends in virtual life. These are all characters, which are all their friends, all part of their wedding. Everything a traditional wedding has, but maybe better. Nobody trips and falls. Everybody's hair looks perfect. The music is great and timely. Skin tones are perfect. What else is there? There's no language barriers. There's no race barriers. There's no cultural barriers. The person from Japan is marrying a person from America. None of it matters. It's only about their happiness. The digital world is changing everything we do. So even the virtual reception is there. Even you get to see their virtual honeymoon. Who knows where the world's going to go? Interesting concepts that are changing the world today. Second Life might not be the answer for you and I, but maybe it is for your business. Maybe our businesses start working together. Maybe we create a model and a new business out of virtual reality in second space. Maybe our classroom extends by the end of this course into somehow we create a virtual Socratic environment where we all share together online. This can happen. We could set up a go-to meeting site. We all share the experience in a lecture together and become part of it. Maybe we'll try to do that in a few weeks. Maybe we become the new digital world, digital experience, digital culture. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope this was a kind of a different lecture and opened up your minds a little bit. I try to express some things differently. I'll be talking more and more on some things that are really important to me and you. And I hope that you enjoy everything we do here. Have a great day. Remember, sunshine is out there. Don't sit in front of these computer screens all day. Have a great day, everyone.